Hello, in this tutorial we will create beautiful composition that you can use for St. Valentine postcard. Let's start. First, you will need to transfer template to your watercolor paper and tape it around to the board. Using light yellow, cover all yellow center part of daisies. I work with two different brushes, one calligraphy brush, one round mop brush. Using calligraphy brush, infuse in wet yellow wash ochre. You can add it a little bit or you can add a little bit more and see how it works. You always can lift or smudge it to create that shadow effect on the centerpiece of the flower. Next step, working with big mauve brush using any color of the rose. I'm using rose color. You can use opera rose, you can use any color which you have and cover all area of roses on the left part of the box, gift box. Just create even wash. Try to do it fast because we do need to lift some highlights and infuse darker color while the wash is still semi-wet. For convenience, we can cover only one top rose and one little rose and start to adding darker pink color to create shadows. I'm using quinacridone rose, concentrated using tiny brush, calligraphy brush. Just infuse and let it spread. Sometimes it helps that you pretend that you work with colored pencil and that calligraphy brush allow you to add very concentrated pigment without adding lots of water in already existing wash. You just spread the pigment and make it darker. I'm still using quinacridone rose. You can use any reddish, pinkish color. To create a slightly darker tone of red color, you can infuse burnt sienna, burnt amber inside of your paint mix, or even natural tint or paints gray. Be very careful to adding dark colors, dark cool colors. Try first on little paper what color it will create. Um, Sometimes it will be too dark or too dirty, too muddy. Just be careful when you're adding dark colors. When your wash getting slightly dry, so it will not spread pigment very vigorously, you can create sharp borders of the petals and create a little bit more distinctive shadows. With the same color, you can cover little hearts using mix from your palette. With a synthetic flat brush, you can lift some pigment to create a reflection on the heart. Next, we're going to work on center peony and big heart using the same pink color which we used before, covering everything carefully, create brush strokes toward the center and cover everything. Using flat synthetic brush, lift some area where reflection supposed to be with the lightest part of the petals. You need to do it fast while wash is still liftable. Using calligraphy brush, the same technique as we did with rose, mix magenta or any dark rose color which you like. You can infuse in wet wash and create shadow area on the heart and on the petals. You need, again, I repeat, you need to work quite fast while the wash is still receiving the pigment and spreading it by itself. And continue working infusing dark color on the petals. Remember that the petals are always dark inside, closer to the center, where the shadow created, and just be careful and watch where you need. I think I made mistake. I cover with pink pigment green leaf. It's okay. I can cover it later with the green color. If you happen the same, don't worry. It's okay. And continue working. You can see some my washes, some my part of the washes. It's already dry, so you can see the very distinctive brush strokes. Again, be careful. It depends what type of paper you use, how fast you paint. Just play with the pigment. Using flat synthetic brush, lift some pigment where you want to create lighted petals parts. Using calligraphy brush, add more detail in the centerpiece. Next step, we're working on the right side roses. I'm using quinacridone rose, quite concentrated mix, because I would like make them slightly darker. And I cover everything, I mean all silhouette of the two roses. Fast but careful. Using flat synthetic brush, lift pigment on the area where it lighted. Next step, using calligraphy brush and very concentrated pigment, just enhance darkest spot on the inside of the roses. At this point, the wash on the peony getting drier, so I can enhance the shadow areas in between petals using the same mix. When you step back from your painting, you can see the hearts doesn't have any shape, so you can enhance the same mix again and just make it spread, like on even on little hearts if you want. It's very optional. You can use a finger to smudge it or a clean brush. Next step, we're adding yellow color to the mix which you have and create kind of reddish oranges light color. And using calligraphy brush, we try to outline the biggest rows on the right side, some petals. Try to outline. You can work carefully. Don't you? Sorry, you don't need to work very carefully because we're going to smudge it anyway after. You just need to create um, that effect, that uneven wash, and just use clean water, smudge everything, covering all areas in between petals of daisies, and careful, create uneven orange wash. With flat synthetic brush, lift some areas on the top of the petals. Using quinacridone red, you can enhance the shadow area in between petals. Make sure that wash is not very wet so your um, pigment doesn't run. Just just use that pencil pattern and try to create those lines. If it's happened too much, you always can use napkin and lift some pigment. Next step, we're using very concentrated red color and enhance the shadowed part inside of the flower, in between petals. Oops, looks like one heart been missed. I need to cover it using the same pigment which we have. Next step, we're working on the packaging. I'm using mix of quinacridone red and magenta. You can use any color of your choice. Very carefully, my recommendation use calligraphy brush because we need to work around subjects. There are two ways how to create polka dots. First of them, you can work around each polka dots and just leave them white and that's it, you will be done. Another way, you can cover everything, but when it's dry, you will use white pencil or you will use white pen or white marker and create polka dots on top of dried wash. This process will take some time. Do not rush, enjoy, work very careful around subjects. I left a few polka dots untouched and everything else I'm going to cover with paint and use it calls Uniposca marker, acrylic marker to create round dots. I think it's faster. When you're done, make sure that all areas covered properly, carefully check it, and let's create the shadow. Add to the same that mix which you use for gift box, add a little bit natural tint, just a little bit, and uh, just infuse inside of the wash on the area where it's supposed to be shadow. In between flowers you can add it too, just enhance. Under the cord, under the heart. This step is optional, but let's make a little bit more 3D effect. Next step, we need to do the leaves foliage using gold green and perylene green. Mix it and cover everything carefully because it's very delicate, very small size of the leaves. Working with infusion wash, cover everything with light green color and infuse dark concentrated green color in the area where the leaves in the shadow. With green color, cover that leaf which I personally miss. I hope you haven't done it. If you done, don't worry. Cover right on top of pink color the green dark pigment. Make sure that wash, pink wash, if you're doing the same what I'm doing, is very dry. The stem I'm going to do later because my wash of the box is still semi-wet, and we will continue work on the all leaves around our box with the same technique as we did first bunch of leaves on top of the composition. After we finish leaves, before the next step, we need to make sure that everything dry. Now we working with any rusty color. I'm using burnt sienna and covering the cord. You can create any color, you can leave it white. This is up to you. Light color, I'm covering just everything, and after I'm going to use natural tint and enhance the shadow in between the uh, plies. Next step, we using flat synthetic brush to create reflection on the leaves. For the next step, I'm using Uniposca acrylic marker to recreate polka dots on the package. The next step is optional. You can use marker. I'm using Pigma Sakura 01 size and just outline all details on this composition. Before you start it, make sure that everything is dry. Do not rush, enjoy. You can use any details, you can add more dots, you can add more veins on the details and veins on the leaves, more petals. That is very optional. I think we almost done. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial and look forward to see you on my next classes. Thank you.